Welcome back, everybody, to your computer science series. This is section 2, video 2, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about controlling things. So up until now, you actually haven't had like a way to control things inside your game, other than that first-person controller, which is all neat. But we want to make stuff that we can control ourselves, and more complex things than just that first-person controller. So today's goals is that we're going to learn about how to input in like commands to do stuff. And we're going to go over some more complex if statements. So first, let's load up Unity. And you'll see in our scene that we have a first-person controller and this nice little rock texture on the ground. You could do that yourself. You should already know how. And we're going to delete our first-person controller, but before we do that, we're just going to drag the main camera out. So just drag the main camera out. Yes, continue. And then delete that first-person controller. And let's move our main camera. Move it up. And let's make it so it faces down like that. So let's put it and then we're going to add a little cube object. Cube. And then raise it up so you can actually see the cube. Okay, and if you click this little gizmo right here, it'll bring you over the camera so you could look down. So this is what the camera's looking at. No, God, what just happened? Let me get a good view. So this is what the camera kind of sees. Push that cube down just a tiny bit. I like it. Let's back up. Let's back this camera up. It's a little close to the ground. Alright, so here's our cube, and this is what our camera is going to be seeing. So what we want to do is we want this cube to move around when we click buttons, and we'll say WASD is the buttons. So now what we got to do, or what we should do is first we need to create a script, because obviously we need to influence the cube, and the only way we can do that is from this script. So let's make a JavaScript, and let's call it control script. And no spaces. Oh, a little naming scheme I keep going on. I don't use spaces when I program too often. And just make sure that we have this script, drag it into our cube right here. Okay, and so you can open up the script right from there or from the project menu. And it should open up. Okay, here we go. It's loading. Okay, so we have this little white cloud here, and well, first thing we're gonna be controlling that cube. So we need some way of saying like move. So inputs. So you're gonna learn. This is the first time you've ever seen this kind of thing. But what I'm about to type is if input dot get key down. Key down, make sure they're capitals, and then W. Now, and then just do that. Now you see this input here just turned blue, and basically what this input.getKeyDown is right here, input is a class in Unity. So it's a class you can call, and inside this class you have a getKeyDown. It's a function. So you're probably wondering, well, what's a class? Well, a class is actually like a script like this. However, Unity has already some programmed in so you could do stuff instead of having to program everything from the ground up. So you have this little blue this class here, and inside this class there's the function getKeyDown, and the function getKeyDown takes one parameter. This here, which is a string. So this could be W, this could be D, this could be like L. I don't really care. Let's keep it W though. What this can't be, however, is it can't just be like D without anything there. The script will get confused, and that's not good. So in quotations, we'll do W first. Okay, so we're moving the cube. So I already showed you guys that classes have some neat things to them. However, they're much more important than you think they are right now. So we're going to reference our cube in our script. And we're going to make it a variable. Now, unlike what you've done before, this cube variable, we don't actually need it, but it's worth showing you this. And you're probably wondering, wait a minute, game object's a variable? Well, you see, everything in Unity, this right here is a game object, and if our script's on it, our script can reference itself, or realistically reference the transform member here, which is also a class. Everything in the components lists are classes or scripts. Most are classes. But this cube, this game object right here, we don't actually need it because we can reference what we need to reference without it. But it's another thing to show you that classes, almost not every time, almost every time you are typing a class, it'll show blue like this. So you see I have input's blue. Other types of classes would be like transform. Another class would be like mathf. See, it turns blue. Most classes turn blue because that's just how they made it. And basically right now we have this reference to the cube, which is a game object, which is a class now that we know that. And let's also put, we want to have a speed at which the cube's going to move at. So let's write a speed. And this will be something you know, a float variable. So we have our input here, and it's going to say whenever we click W and W is down, do something. So we want to make it move. Well, so we want to make our cube move. So let's type in cube. And now the cube game object itself, you can reference every script inside of it. So what we're going to reference right now is we're going to reference the transform script. And inside that transform script or class, you have the position where it is. Now that we have the position, what we got to do is we have to change it. So let's change the x. And we're going to change it by adding, which is plus equals speed. And that's all we need there. And so I'm just going to walk you through another one. If input dot get key down, and if we have D down, not us, D. Oh, and also if you're a little bit confused, all what this says right here, because you just see this get key down, this itself will return true. So realistically, if I were to explicitly write this out, we could do this, and it would say if the W key's down, well, this will return, this function here returns true, and then true obviously has to equal true. So instead of checking that, we could simplify it to just this and says, well, this will return true, and if true, then we do this. So if you're a little lost about that, hopefully that cleared it up a bit. So if you have the D key down, we want to move in the opposite direction. So we want to change the cube dot transform dot position, or not parent, dot position dot x. But this time, instead of adding, we're just going to subtract speed. And I'm just going to copy and paste this now. And paste it here. There's a few things we have to change, however. First off, obviously we need to change the keys. So let's add A and, oh, my bad. S is below W. And D is below, D is to the right of S. My bad. Okay, and then we have to change these. Now, Unity does a funky thing with coordinates. You don't look at it as an X and Y from downwards. You look at it as an X and Y from, like, a flat perspective. So instead of changing Y, we're actually going to change Z in the coordinate grid. And this is either going to work the right way from our camera angle, or everything's going to be a little bit reversed and it's going to be a little weird. But so basically, let's load it. And our cube game object, you could grab. So we have this game object here, and we're trying to reference it. So what you need to do is you need to set the reference. It's looking for a game object. So the simplest way to do that is just click and hold the cube or the object you want, and then drag it in this little slot. You see it'll turn blue, and just release, and boom. And let's give it a speed. Since it's directly influencing coordinates, make the speed like 0.5. No, 0.5 is a lot. 0.05, we'll say. And so if we run now, oh god, that's not good. We don't want that. So let's stop. And what I forgot to change is, it has this mouse look script from the first person controller. Go ahead and oh god, I just opened it. Don't worry about that. That's confusing. Let's remove this mouse look script so we know we're looking down. And let's run again. And you see here's our thing. And look, you see how we only click it. I'm clicking a lot here, and it is reverse. And you see, but it's not really moving that fast. So let's make it so that you could just hold the key down. So instead of doing these and get key down, get key up, what get key down does, it checks if you click the key. What we want is if you just are holding the key. So if the key is being active. So remove the down, and I could orientate it correctly, but I don't think it really matters. And make sure you, oh, I didn't save. Make sure you save your script, and then just open up Unity. You'll see it's loading. Boom. And now if we run it now, see, I'm clicking A and D, and it's moving back and forth. And you'll see if you click if you click both A and D at the same time, it won't move. Well, that's because it actually is moving. It's sort of oscillating back, but in the script you don't see it because the these are canceling each other out. So now let's say we don't want this. We want to make it so that it's moving in all directions, or no. Let's say it's always going to move right. We want to check some other stuff. So we just made it move, but now we want to make it move differently. So let's say, what do we want to do? Let's take an input. So if input dot get key, and let's take W, and let's do something different. So before we had it where it is equals true, and since this is implicit, but let's check to see if W is not down. And you're like, wait, what? So you're probably wondering, what's this exclamation point, and why is it not double equals? Well, you see, an exclamation point before an equal sign checks to see if something is not, that's what exclamation points stand for, and equals. So if it's not equal to true, we want to do something else. And you can make it do any direction. I think it's the Z direction that was supposed to be last time. So I'm going to change that. So position dot Z will plus equal the speed. And so we're going to run this now. And you see, I'm not going to click anything, and it should start moving right away. And in fact, it's probably going to move so fast that it'll move out of our screen really fast. So reduce the speed. So I'm not clicking anything right now, and it's moving. And I click W, and you see it stopped. And I'm holding W now too. If I let go of W, if I just click it, it'll sort of edge along. But if I have to hold W for this cube to stop moving. Now that's really important, because that could check for a bunch of different things. So this not indicator, the exclamation point, which stands for not, you'll hear me say not, or you'll hear me mumble not and just be confused why your program is doing everything opposite. This is very important. I use this a lot. So make sure you know what that symbol means. You could also check it another way. If you put the not symbol in front of input, that's like the shorthand method. I don't use that way. That way confuses me. But just to prove that it does the same exact thing, it's gonna load, and then we click play, and it should do the same exact thing. See, it's moving. I click W, it's not moving. Okay, so that's that. And that's how you basically take input in. Now let's make a different if statement now. Let's say we want it to move if we have a certain value. Or actually, instead of that, let's make it so you could change speed. So I'm gonna post these two again. And we're gonna make this just switch it back to what it was originally. A and D, and make this Z. Keep those X. Make these Z. Okay, so we wanna add a little more. Let's be able to change our speed now. So let's write an if statement that says if our input get key. Let's make it so it's get key down, so it's decisive. It's not ambiguous like just holding a button is. So let's say every time you click Q, we want to change our speed in the positive direction by, we'll say, speed plus equals, we'll say, 0.05. And let's make one in the opposite direction now. And just clean it up, and we'll say ease to slow it down. But we're going to do something else now too. We don't want them to have an infinite speed, because infinity anything is OP in games. I use that. OP just means overpowered. It's game talk. So yeah, so we don't want speed to be infinite. So we're gonna say if speed is greater than or equal to, we'll say about point 3. If speed is greater than or equal to, you'll see these are new symbols. Greater than or equal to is, it's obvious if you know any math. They're very intuitive symbols. So if it's greater than or equal to 0.3, then we're going to set speed equal to 0.3. Now you're probably wondering, well, why are we doing this? You might be asking. Well, the reason is that, let's say they click this, they can keep adding. And eventually, they'll add over our limit here. And this is just going to set the limit back down, just to make sure that, in fact, we're going to make it so it's just greater than efficiency. You'll learn about that. You'll learn about making things more efficient later on. And then let's make another one. A lot of typing today. And if speed is less than negative 0.3, set speed equal to negative 0.3. And we're going to save this script, and let's run it. And I have an error. I forgot a semicolon. Let's save that again, and let's go. There we go. Okay, so now it's running. And we have all of these things here. What's going on? Yeah, if you see like a giant list of D is unknown, that's a problem. Let's look at our code for a second. Oh, no capitals. See, even the best of us make mistakes. Now if we run it, everything should be good. And you'll see, oh, I forgot, these are all get keyed down. 1 second. Let me quickly fix these. We don't want that. So just remove these downs so it gives you that smoother motion. It'll look nicer. Sometimes these videos are going to get a little long because, well, if they weren't, I couldn't really show you much. So let's save that. And see, I hold it and it's moving. And let's increase our speed now. Now I just clicked the E, so I increased it in the negative direction. So now it's adding a negative speed, so we actually switch directions. If we change our speed to the positive as we move, you see we could actually switch the directions without switching the keys. And it goes really fast. And you'll see if I add up to 0.3, I can't add faster than 0.3 though. This is because of our script saying, no, you can't do that. And you get anywhere in the middle. You can basically get 0 as well. This negative, this e to the negative 9th is just, it's a way of adding, but like you're basically adding 0. And so you see I'm not moving. If I click Q or D, or Q or E, I start moving, and I could still move up or down, which is cool. And that's it. I hope you guys had a good time, and I'll see you guys next time. And let me